everyone, my name is Gabby and today I'm going to be bringing you part 2 of my signed book haul. Part 1 will be linked down below and it's pretty much all the signed books I've acquired up until the very end of 2016, and that video is about a half an hour long, so I've learned from my mistakes and I'm now going to be bringing you signed book hauls a little bit more frequently. The reason that I'm doing that is just because I don't want to have you guys have to sit through half an hour videos of all the signed books that I acquire each year, and I'm thankful enough and very grateful for the fact that I'm able to go to so many different book signings, and I have a lot that are in my area for authors that I'm interested in, and so it's always really great to get to go to those events and get to meet authors and get to just be in a room full of bookish people and be able to have such amazing experiences time and time again. So I always love getting to share all of that with you and getting to talk about the different events that I go to and the authors that I meet, because it's always a really cool experience for those of you that know that I also get to go to book signings a lot, because I know that authors tend to tour in the same areas. So if you're just not in one of those areas where authors tour, you really don't get to have these experiences. So for me, I'm incredibly thankful and incredibly blessed that I've gotten to meet so many authors that are so important to me and authors whose books I really love and really admire, and it's always really fun to get to share that with all of you. So I'm going to dive right into part 2 of my signed book haul, and I'm going to be showing you all the books that I've acquired thus far in 2017, which is from January to July, and it's about 13 books. So I'm excited to dive in and show you all of those. So the first book that I have here is one that I got in January, and that is History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I went to Adam's tour stop at Anderson's for his History Is All You Left Me tour, and it was hosted by Tiernan at the Booktuber. And of course this event was incredibly exciting, not only because it was my first book signing of the year, but I got to meet Adam for a second time, and I got to see several of my bookish friends who I hadn't seen in a while, so it was just a really nice way to start off the year. And this was one of the books that I was really looking forward to at the beginning of the year. So of course getting to meet Adam again and get to go to one of his stops was always a lot of fun, and I'm really glad that I got to go. And I'm actually going to be meeting Adam again for a third time in October for his They Both Die at the End tour stop with Lauren Oliver at Anderson's, and I'm really excited about that because I always love Adam's stops. He's so wonderful and so sweet and so amazing. Both times that I've met him, he's just been incredibly fantastic, so it's always an honor to be able to get to see him. And so he signed my copy of History Is All You Left Me. It says, "Gabby," in all caps, "thank you so much for all the enthusiasm. Make history, and don't forget, history has its eyes on you, Adam Silvera." So I love the Hamilton reference in here. I remember that Adam tweeted out that he wanted to put that in his book because history has its eyes on you, history is all you left me, like they're very similar, so that was something that I was really excited about. And I asked him to put that in my book because of course I love Hamilton, and I love that if I can get an author to somehow reference Hamilton in a book of theirs, that's really cool. So I liked getting to have this book, and I love how Adam gets to sort of really fill up the page and make it individual for every single person that he signs for. I always love when authors do that because it feels so much more personal, and it's something you just enjoy a little bit more since the author is putting effort into the book that they're signing and they're making it special for you. So I think one of my favorite things about this stop, and one of the things I'll remember the most, is that there's this whole great Oreo debate that has gone on between several YA authors, and Adam is team Golden Oreo and the other team would be team Classic. And so me and 2 other friends that I went with to the book signing got Adam packages of Golden Oreos, so we had 3 whole packages of Golden Oreos by the end of the night, and then he got a whole bunch more at some of his past tour stops for History Is All You Left Me. So I think Adam is completely stocked with Golden Oreos for a while, which was really funny, and I was glad that I was able to do that because it was something that was really memorable. And Adam's stops are always fantastic, so I was really excited that I got to meet him again and I was able to get my book signed. So the next book signing that I went to was also through Anderson's, and it was in February, a month later, and there were 2 authors that I got to meet at the stop. The first was Veronica Roth, and she was promoting her new book, Carve the Mark. So the minute that I found out about this signing, I went and got tickets because I've always wanted to meet Veronica Roth. She's an author that's always really been important to me because ever since I picked up Divergent and I saw her promoting the movie, I just really resonated to her because it was the first YA author that I read from that was open on social media and was really active in the community. And she also was from Chicago, which is my city, so I thought that was really cool. And she also went to a college that I was interested in checking out at the time. So there's just a lot of things about her that I really resonated with, because other than that, the only other YA author that I'd read from was Suzanne Collins, and she's pretty private and you really don't see her a lot, so it just meant a lot to me to be able to meet her. So I immediately went and got tickets for the signing and ended up being number 6 in line, which was just perfect because for those of you that haven't read Divergent, which I would be surprised, 6 is Triss's number. That's her number of fears by the end of the trilogy. So that was just something really cool, and that's something that I'm always going to remember, and it was just such an honor to meet Veronica Roth. I went up to her and I was completely starstruck, and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much for everything that you've done. Your books mean so much to me, and it was just an absolute honor to get to meet her. So she signed my my copy of Carve the Mark. It just says in black Sharpie, Gabby, Carve the Mark, Veronica Roth, and then she drew some stars in there. So this was just really nice to get to meet her because the signing line was moving relatively quickly because they did have a handful of people that were at the event, and it was just an honor to get to meet her. So the next author that was at that stop was actually moderating the event, and that is Kendra Blake, and she is the author of Three Dark Crowns. So the fun thing about this book is that the day of the signing I actually finished Three Dark Crowns, so I got to read the book and then go right in and right afterwards meet the author, which I think is a really cool experience and really unique and something that I'm always going to remember. But I love this event a lot because not only was I incredibly excited to get to meet Veronica, but it was really cool to get to see Kendra Blake and Veronica up on stage because they just had really good chemistry and they had a lot of really interesting discussion. They talked about Harry Potter and Star Wars, their inspiration for the books, which sort of goes into what Kendra Blake signed in my book for Three Dark Crowns. So it says, Gabby, it's not easy being Queen, Kendra Blake, and then she drew a little bumblebee with a crown on its head because pretty much in Three Dark Crowns, Kendra Blake got her inspiration from bee colonies and queen bees and the way that they behave, and so she was telling us about that at the stop, which I thought was really cool. And I also love the green pen just because I love when authors sign in different colors just because it's really pretty and really unique, so I'm really going to treasure this, and it was a really cool experience to get to meet Kendra Blake, especially after having just read the book. So the next set of books in my signed book haul are from New York City when I went to BookCon and then visited Books of Wonder. So the first book that I have here is actually an ARC, and that is Life is Like a Musical by Tim Federle. This comes out in October, but the minute that it popped up on my radar, I wanted to get my hands on it. So first thing in the morning when I went to BookCon day one, I got in line for Tim's signing, and I was one of the first few people in line. So when I went up to Tim, I talked to him a little bit about Ben Platt, and we got to fangirl together about Ben Platt, which was awesome because I saw some of his tweets about Ben Platt, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to him about how I'm seeing Dear Evan Hansen because I'd seen several of his tweets about that, so I'm like, good way to start a conversation. And then we got to fangirl about Ben Platt, and he signed my copy of Life is Like a Musical. It says, to Gabby the Great, love Tim Federle. It was such an honor to get to meet Tim because he's such an accomplished person. You have to think about the fact that in his lifetime, he has written a book for a Broadway musical, has been on Broadway himself as a performer, and has written several novels. The fact that he's been able to accomplish that in such a short period of time is just absolutely amazing, and I'm so impressed by everything that he's done, and it was just an honor to get to meet him. I've fallen in love with his books, and now that I've actually read some of them and I've gotten a chance to really appreciate his writing style, I would love to get to meet him again and to be able to have read more from him and be able to sort of meet an author whose books I've read from and be able to like really fully appreciate them. But it was still really amazing to get to meet him, to get my ARC signed, because this is a book that I've been highly anticipating, so to be able to get it early is really, really exciting. So it was just a wonderful experience. The next book that I have here is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. So right after I went to Tim's signing, I went to the autographing area for Laini Taylor's signing, and I ended up waiting 2 hours to get to meet her, and she had to extend her signing time because she was taking time to sign every single person's book and like have conversations, which is always really nice, but I feel like you need to be able to find a balance between signing everybody's books, talking to them, like giving everybody their individual time, but also trying to move the line along so that you're not sitting there waiting too long. But when I did get to meet Laini Taylor, I had her sign my copy of Daughter of Smoke and Bone that I brought from home because I was going to buy Strains of Dreamer and have her sign it, but that just ended up not working out. So I'm glad that I brought this from home to sign. And it says, for Gabby, Laini Taylor. It was really great to meet Laini, especially after just reading this trilogy, because I got to talk to her a little bit about how her books allowed me to make a friend. Pretty much when it comes to my high school, there is no one that I know in my high school who reads as much as I do or who has an interest in reading, anyone that I could be like a bookish friend with. It just like, it wouldn't happen. So I had this girl in my Spanish class last year that I'd done some projects with throughout the year that I talked to a little bit. I had, I think, the final book in this trilogy with me, and I was reading it, and she saw that I had it, and she said, oh, I'm on the 3rd book too. I met Laini Taylor when I was at BookCon in 2016 in Chicago, and it was really cool to get to meet her, but I'm still working on the trilogy. And I said, oh, that's really cool. I was at BookCon too. So it was cool to be able to connect with another student in my school, which is something I normally wouldn't be able to do, especially over books, because it's such an obscure thing for anyone in my high school to be interested in. So that was just a really cool experience. I'm really glad that I was able to have that experience because of her books, and I told her that and she seemed really touched by it, so that was really cool. And it was just really great to get to meet her, even though the waiting in line was really stressful and just really tired me out and I was a little bit irritated by. Nonetheless, the seconds that I had with her were absolutely amazing, and it was an honor to get to meet her because so many authors love her and this trilogy, and it's one that's so beloved by so many people. So to get to meet the author is really cool, and it's something I'm never gonna forget. So the next book that I have here is Aggie Gorilla by Ashley Poston. So this is kind of a funny story. I was gonna go to Ashley's in boot signing at Quirk Books, day 1 of BookCon, but I saw Ashley walking around the show floor a few times and I wanted to go up and say hi to her, and then there was a point where I pretty much was done with BookCon. I was exhausted, I was tired, and I was just sort of frustrated with the way that everything was being run, and I saw Ashley walking away from some of her friends and she was alone, and I was like, you wanna know what? Screw this, I'm gonna go up to her. I'm done being a coward. I need to just man up. And so I went up to her and I asked her to sign my copy of the book, and so she signed Aggie Gorilla for me. It says, "To Gabby, look to the stars, love, Ashley Poston." So this is where the story gets even funnier. So I had her sign my copy of the book, and then we started talking a little bit about the book and the fangirling and the fandom culture within the book, and I told her how much it meant to me, specifically one part in the book that I'm just not going to get into. But then for whatever reason, and this is something that I'm incredibly embarrassed by because I can't even tell you how it happened, I started talking about AP tests and final exams for high school, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm having like a regular everyday conversation with a YA author. What is going on? And looking back at it now, I'm incredibly embarrassed because I'm like, what YA author wants to hear about my test scores and what I'm doing in school? Like, they don't care. And so I just felt like incredibly embarrassed and incredibly mortified looking back at it, because why did I decide to start talking about that? I feel really bad that I bothered her with that. I don't even know how that happened, guys. I seriously can't tell you, but it was really cool to have an everyday conversation with a YA author, and she was really cool and really sweet, and I got to talk to her on Instagram just a few weeks ago, and she seemed really cool about it, and she seemed to remember me, and I sort of apologized for being really irritating, but she seemed cool about it, so that's an experience I'm definitely going to remember, because you don't really have those types of everyday conversations with YA authors, and so it was just cool to get to see her on the show floor and to be able to have that experience, because again, it's another really memorable one that I'm never going to forget. I'm probably going to look back and laugh on it years later, even though I'm kind of already laughing on it now. So the final 2 books that I have from BookCon are from day 2, and that is Lord of Shadows and Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy, both by Cassandra Clare. So I'm not going to bother you with the details of how I met Cassie and my entire experience, because I have all of that in a YouTube video for my final challenge of a BookTubeathon. So if you want to watch that, I will have it linked down below, and I think that it's really worth the watch because I go into all the details. It'll just be a lot easier than transcribing it all in detail here a second time. But pretty much what I have to say about it, to give you guys a little bit of a teaser, is that it really meant a lot to me to meet Cassie again, because she's my favorite author, and just the 30 seconds that she gave me and everything that she did for me was something that I'll just never forget, and it was so amazing to get to meet her. And so she signed my copy of Lord of Shadows and my copy of Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy. So Cassie personalized Lord of Shadows for me, and it says, "For Gabby, Cassandra Clare," and then she also signed my copy of Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy with just her regular signature, Cassandra Clare. So I think the experience that I had meeting Cassie is one that I'm never going to forget, and I really encourage you guys to click the link down below for my Day 7 BookTubeathon challenge and give it a watch, because it's a video that really means a lot to me, and it's a really personal experience, and it was just an honor to be able to get to meet her and then to share it with all of you. It's an all-worthy video, and it's just something that is going to be very close to my heart because of how much Cassie means to me as an author. Just the thing that she did for me as small act of kindness is something that I'm never ever going to forget, and it just makes me love and appreciate Cassie so much as an author, and it just makes me so grateful for both of the times that I've gotten to meet her, because to meet an author once that's your favorite author is amazing, but to get to meet her twice is something that I'll never ever forget. And of course I'm going to want to meet her several more times if I can, but the 2 times that I have gotten to meet her I'm extremely grateful for, and it's always a blessing to get to be in the presence of an author who's shaped your life so much and who has just made every single moment of your day worthwhile because of their books. So the next 2 books that I have here are from Books of Wonder in New York City, and for those of you that don't know about Books of Wonder, it's an independent bookstore in NYC that has a whole bunch of signed books, and so I figured that if I was going to be going there, I had to pick up a few signed books, because why would I not? And so the first book that I got was Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. I talked about this book in my July wrap-up, but I really enjoyed it, and I've been wanting to read it for a while, and so when I heard about the synopsis and hearing everything about the book, and then seeing it in Books of Wonder and seeing that it was signed, I had to, of course, pick it up. And so it's just signed to Jennifer E. Smith, relatively simple, but it was really cool to be able to get a signed book, especially because I really enjoyed this one a lot. So the next signed book that I got from Books of Wonder was The Takedown by Corey Wing. This book I really found out about through the promotion that Freeform Books did. They pretty much signed a whole bunch of different booktubers a cutout of their Instagram, which I thought was really cool and really interesting. So from there I checked out the book and it sounded really unique. I never got a chance to pick it up, but I saw that this one was signed, so I figured that this was the perfect opportunity to pick it up. And so there's a little message at the top that says just remember, and then I think there's something that's a reference to the book. I really can't read it. And then it's signed by Corey Wing, and she drew a little heart inside of the play button. I love this because it's signed in pink Sharpie, and there's like a little quote or something on the top rather than just her signature. So it was a really special book to get, and I'm excited to get to read this, especially because it's signed. So the final 3 books I have here are from a book signing that I went to relatively recently at the end of July, and that is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, The Upside of Unrequited, and The Hate You Give. Of course, Simon and Upside are both by Becky Albertalli, and The Hate You Give is by Angie Thomas. I got to meet both of them at an event that they did at Anderson's, and it was really cool to get to hear them speak because they were 2 authors that were up on my radar. And so when I found out that they were going to be doing an event at Anderson's, I had to get tickets, and it was an amazing event. I got to see several of my bookish friends again. I got to see some booktube friends. I got to meet Becky and Angie, and it was just overall a really, really amazing event and probably one of my highlights of the summer. I just had so much fun, and it was so great to get to meet them. So Becky signed my copy of Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and it says, Simon loves Gabby, love Becky Albertalli, and she drew a little picture of Simon as if he's speaking out of the speech bubble, which I thought was really cool. I love when authors do really creative things when they sign their books, just because it makes it special and it makes it really unique and really interesting. So with The Upside of Unrequited, I had the signed book plate from Owl Crate, so I wasn't sure if I was going to get this signed again, but I decided to anyway. And so she signed my copy of The Upside of Unrequited with just Becky Albertalli. And then Angie Thomas signed my copy of The Hate You Give for Gabby Angie Thomas. So it was really cool to get to meet these 2 wonderful ladies. I went up to Becky and I got to tell her how much I loved Simon Versus and how much I loved the cast and how it was one of my favorite reads of the year because of that, and how much The Upside of Unrequited really meant to me, being able to identify with Molly and what it is that she's going through and sort of feeling unloved or not feeling like she fits in or like she needs to be in a relationship, and her sort of dealing with some of those standards and some of those norms of relationships. I just really appreciated reading it, and also the diversity in this book and some of the qualities that make it really unique. And then with The Hate You Give, I haven't picked this book up yet, but it is our August Diversity Readers Book Club Pick of the Month, so I got to tell Angie Thomas about that because at the time of the signing, I had known that this was going to be our August book, so I got to tell her about that, and she seemed really touched that we were going to be reading it, and I told her about the whole Diversity Book Club and everything that we're doing with it, and it was really cool to get to meet an author that we're reading from, and it was just a really amazing experience, another really amazing author stop. I always love going to Anderson's for author events because there's so many wonderful people there, and just feels like a community of bookish people, and it's just this feeling where you instantly feel like you belong, and it's always the greatest thing to be a part of. So that pretty much wraps it up for my signed book haul, but there's one last thing that I want to show you. I've talked about this a little bit on my channel. This is my bookish journal. I've been bringing this with me to every single book signing that I've gone to, and I've had a whole bunch of authors sign it to every single stop that I've went to, and I've had bookish friends write messages. And so what I'm hoping to do is at the end of the year, do a journal flip through for all the single authors that I've met and all the events that I've went to, and show you guys all the different signatures and things that I have within this book. And of course it's not ready yet because I want to be able to polish the pages and make it look a little bit nicer, but I want to show you one signature from this book because I'm probably going to be talking about it a little bit, so I want you guys to know what it looks like and sort of know what I'm referencing when I talk about my bookish journal. So I want to share with you Cassie's signature in my journal, and it says, "For Gabby, dream big, live dangerously, write with empathy, love, Cassandra Clare." So it was an absolute honor that she signed my journal and that she wrote out a full message, and that she was just nice enough to do that because they were moving her signing line along. It was just so sweet that she took the time to do that, and this is something that I'm going to treasure forever. And no offense to anyone who has signed this book at all, but this is my favorite signature in this journal, and it always will be because of how much it meant to me having it come from my favorite author. So I'm really excited to get to show you the rest of the pages in this at the end of the year. So that's pretty much it for my signed book haul. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to comment down below your favorite author experience that you've had, maybe a favorite book that you've gotten signed this year, let me know. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with a new video. Goodbye!